Theresa May today insisted Britain will not be bound by EU rules on fishing and farming during a Brexit transition period. The Prime Minister set the stage for a major clash with Brussels by making clear the UK will not obey the key policies from March 2019. She also insisted that Britain wants a bespoke trade deal from the EU, and said she wanted the same level of access as the current arrangements. The bullish comments came as she defended her handling of the Brexit talks in a statement to the Commons, after an EU summit last week formally signed off on moving on to the next phase of negotiations. However, the scale of the challenge still in prospect has been laid bare after senior Eurocrats warned that there will be no special Brexit deal for the City of London. Mrs May flatly rejected a statement from the EU's Michel Barnier that the UK cannot have a bespoke deal, saying he had been contradicted by one of his own aides today. Theresa May, pictured in the Commons today, has gathered her Brexit war cabinet to hammer out a vision of what end state they want to achieve. The PM was updating the Commons after an EU summit agreed last week that trade talks can begin in the new year. The jibe was a reference to remarks by Stefan Dryynck, who told an event at the Chatham House think tank earlier that all trade deals were technically bespoke but dismissed the idea that models for agreements, such as those with Canada and Norway, could be mixed as Mrs May is urging. The Premier also raised eyebrows by stating that the UK will be outside the Common Agricultural Policy, CAP, and Common Fisheries Policy, CFP, from the day of Brexit in 2019. Mr Barnier has said the UK must follow all EU rules throughout a transition period that could run until 2021. The Common Agricultural Policy, CAP, and Common Fisheries Policy, CFP, are mainstays of the EU economic model. The rules include, Tory backbenchers including Jacob Rees-Mogg demanded Mrs May take a stand against the EU's hard line, saying that meekly signing up to it would make Britain no more than a vassal state, a colony, a serf of the European Union. Earlier, the PM gathered her war cabinet to plot the strategy for the looming battle with the EU over trade and a transition deal. Ministers appear to be lining up behind a slow Brexit option, where the UK starts by keeping the same regulations as Brussels and gradually moves away. The approach would ease the impact on the economy of cutting ties with the EU, and could satisfy both hard Brexiteers like Boris Johnson and Michael Gove as well as supporters of keeping closer links such as Philip Hammond and Amber Rudd. Meanwhile, some ministers are said to be urging Mrs May to stay on in Downing Street until 2021 to ensure any Brexit deal does not fall apart at the last moment. New EU regulations could be rejected by the government as they arise after the end of a mooted two-year transition period, leaving Britain free to streamline rules and become more competitive globally. However, the government could find it tough to get the EU to agree to such an arrangement. The bloc's chief negotiator Michel Barnier again insisted yesterday that there can be no cherry-picking of the UK's current membership terms.